We're going to talk about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett this, Warren Buffett that. That Motley Fool article that you read, or that Yahoo Finance article that you read about the secret stocks that Warren Buffett happens to own, and a bunch of other things. The truth of the matter is that a lot of investors happen to gauge their returns and the success of their investment decisions based on the return that Warren Buffett has generated historically. And the truth of the matter is that the easiest way to get Warren Buffett's returns is to just invest in his company. Really unpopular opinion, but I mean, you can get fractional shares of Burke B, and it'll be basically the same as getting the same return as Warren Buffett. It's a piece of his company. But the truth of the matter is that really Warren Buffett employs a strategy from all the research that I've done that is based on owning a number of subsidiary companies and investing in companies that produce a large amount of free cash flow or generate a lot of revenue. And his main core of his business is actually the insurance business. He owns a number of companies that are involved in life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, and property insurance. He owns a boat insurance company. He owns Geico and a couple of other insurance companies. And insurance is basically almost free money for whoever happens to own the company. Insurance, based on actuarial science, which is the application of statistics and accounting to one another, basically always kind of finds a way to generate a profit, regardless of whether or not it's on the hook for paying out a certain amount of money in the event of a certain event. All of that stuff can be statistically analyzed based on the behavior of individuals and risk factors and other things like that, and factored into something that statistically is probably not likely to happen, but your premium and what you pay for it is always going to be slightly higher than what you would need to definitely lock in the insurance contract. There's a degree of risk inside of it, but it's very cold and calculated. And of course, we've all had experiences with insurance companies. I think in The Incredibles, what's his name? Mr. Incredible's boss at the insurance company that he works for almost looks like Warren Buffett. He's got the jowls, and he's just kind of this mad person trying to deny people's claims and other things like that. It's kind of entertaining. It's very comedic. He's a very tiny man. But what was I going to say? Insurance always tries to find a way to get out on top, and they can also sort of find collateral in writing other insurance contracts on insurance contracts to make sure that they always end up kind of on top of things. But the insurance business generates a lot of profits. And what Warren Buffett's other strategy is investing inside of like brands that have pretty good name recognition and are fairly profitable. Things like Duracell batteries, Clayton Homes, mobile homes, which for everybody else that is not interested in trailer parks and other things like that, Clayton Homes is really kind of what's the word for it? It's a value provider inside of the real estate market, because that means that it kind of opens up anyone to home ownership, especially inside of the country, especially inside of the middle of the country. You'll see a lot more mobile homes being purchased on new property that people will go in and move into. So it's almost kind of a real estate play in a sense, but he's got a bunch of property and casualty insurance companies. He's got a lot of indemnity insurance companies. He's got Acme Brick, which generates profit and is kind of a home building play. He completely owns that outright. And I'm trying to think of what else he owns. He owns a number of jewelry stores, and jewelry stores are generally profitable. There's very high margins on selling new jewelry to people, and it's almost like a GameStop kind of business model where they will buy it back for a lot less than what you paid for it, and through using outside financing and other things like that, they're making money. They're making a lot of money. You're on the hook for making a purchase of a ring or whatever for whatever life event, but He uses these companies that generate a lot of revenue to then go forward and buy a number of blue chip kind of growth companies. It looks like it's mostly S&P 100 and some international holdings for like up and coming businesses, fairly sizable businesses for their respective countries and markets that they happen to be located in. And that's more of what his play is just things that make money, putting the money into growth instruments. Now, you can do that yourself. And if you don't want to do that yourself, then you can go ahead and just invest inside of BRKB, BRK.B, on the stock market. You can get fractional shares, or if you're just buying a bunch of stuff outright or moving money into things, you can just buy the shares outright. Now, if you did want to generate alpha using Warren Buffett's strategy, but get a little bit of extra, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of the secret sauce, you can write covered call contracts on the shares that you happen to own. Now, you need to own 100 shares, but if you have 100 shares of BRKB, you can then write slightly out of the money insurance contracts. That way, if there is growth, it reduces your overall, what's the word for it? The taxes that you pay on it, as opposed to the premium and the taxes that you'll pay on the premium for selling options against it. But that might give you a little bit extra, tiny little pinch of the magic fairy dust that will give you a little bit of alpha over whatever Warren Buffett's company's return happens to be. Other than that, your best bet is growth stocks, individually, or perhaps an ETF that's focused on something like information technology or something else like that, like VGT. But the problem with VGT or other things is sector risk. If the entire sector starts failing, or because there's a bubble in the sector, you're kind of fucked. The share price for the ETF that you have is going to go down. It's never good to have too much concentration in any one thing, but honestly, out of all stocks that exist, I would say BRKB is probably one of the more diversified companies, individual stocks that you can invest in. But that's just my opinion. Now, if you do get to the big baller mode and stuff, and you get into millionaire status maybe one day, maybe you can look at selling covered calls on Berkshire Hathaway Class A stock. But that seems stupid. That seems like something that nobody that I know, at least, and nobody inside of my life will ever do inside of their lifetime. There's probably some hedge fund out there somewhere doing it, or a family office, but kind of out of the picture. Your best bet is BRKB, selling covered calls on it, and investing for the long term and getting a little bit of cash inflow, since Berkshire Hathaway doesn't issue dividends. But who knows? They might change in the future. They might be under new management. But so far, he's been really grooming the up and coming people inside of the company. He doesn't make a lot of the decisions, but they kind of know what to do in order to keep the strategy that he's been employing over the years kind of going in the event that he dies or is no longer in control of Berkshire. But anyway, that's my opinion. Y'all have a good day. Bye.